Hello, everyone. It's me, Clayson. I just finished watching the fifth episode of Ahsoka. So, with last week's return of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, I figured we'd get a pretty interesting training session from him while Ahsoka is basically in this. While she's basically in a spiritual realm for a Jedi, I think. Similar to the ones we see in the Jedi Fallen Order games. But basically, this training session involves Hayden Christensen sending Ahsoka to various battles in the Clone Wars, one of which being the Siege of Mandalore, and one being one of the first missions that Anakin sent Ahsoka on. So basically, it seems the lesson he's trying to teach her lies in her past. Though, as the lesson goes on, it becomes very clear that Anakin is not the bright mentor that Ahsoka remembers him as he does go into his vengeful Vader mode at one point. He doesn't go. We don't get to the James Earl Jones voice of Vader, but we do see Hayden Christensen as he steps further into the dark side, and as his lightsaber goes from blue to red. So it's clear that Ahsoka has to fight him in order to complete this mission and to wake herself up, essentially. I actually like the fact that we do get to see a younger Ahsoka and we get to see her grapple with the concepts of the Clone Wars. Granted, we've seen her at her younger points in the Clone Wars as well in the Clone Wars series as well as in Rebels, but I like the fact that we got to see a younger actress take on Ahsoka's role, and we got to see uh, a lot of these scenes in live action when it comes to the Clone Wars and when it comes to these flashbacks. On top of that, Hera, in her unauthorized mission, manages to find out where Ahsoka is because Jason, her son, had his father was a Jedi, and it seems that he's inheriting his father's abilities. If they're planning on having Jason take part in another Star Wars series later down the line, I can see how that could affect the plot in some ways, and I do think that is a decent way to connect the spiritual themes of Star Wars with the mission to save Ahsoka. It doesn't. It actually feels like it does have a genuine, good explanation behind it. And it doesn't feel like it's just a Deus Ex Machina. On top of that, after Ahsoka wakes up and after she manages to get onto a ship, she decides that she's got to have some other way to find out where the villains took Sabine in order to save her and to stop the villains from doing whatever it is they're doing. So with the map completely destroyed, how are they going to find the coordinates to the location that they're heading to? They get help from space whales. Can someone remind me of the Star Wars Rebels episode where space whales were part of the plot? Because I must have missed it. It's been a few years since I've watched that series. Regardless, I I didn't expect that to be how Ahsoka would find the location that Baylan and Shin were headed to. I guess it works out because I guess it's a connection to the previous series. But again, for someone who's unfamiliar with the series having due to the fact that I haven't seen it in a really long time, it did come across as a pretty weird plot point. Regardless, I did really like the flashback sequences and all the stuff with Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson. Both of them handled their roles very well, and I even appreciate Jason's part of the story. I do think that it's a good way to develop his character a bit and to give him stuff to do in the plot. But now we're 5 episodes in, we have 3 to go, so what where are we going to end up when it comes to where Baylan and Shin are, and how is Ahsoka going to deal with them? We'll see. See you next week.